Wrong Fate Under the Moon. Chapter 1 The Night of the Full Moon. The moon in the Mid-Autumn Festival hangs high in the sky like a silver plate, cold and bright. The courtyard is filled with red lanterns, shining with warm light. The old lady's 80th birthday banquet was already very lively, with the elders wearing gorgeous robes and laughing endlessly. The heroine Ling Yan blended in with the crowd, her fingers clasped tightly, her heart beating so hard that it almost jumped out of her chest. Today, she originally thought she was just attending an ordinary family gathering, but unexpectedly her elders had already arranged for her relatives, the male protagonist of the German returnee, Stan Rowan. Stan stood on the other side, dressed appropriately, with stability and elegance between his eyebrows. His smile is gentle and magnetic, making him a reassuring candidate. Yan, this is Luo Wen, you go on a blind date. The elder's voice is like an order or a pre-written script. Ling Yan's cheeks instantly turned red, and she lowered her head gently, as if she wanted to disappear from the crowd. Just as she was about to muster up the courage to take a step forward, there was a familiar sound of footsteps at the door. Chapter 2 Uncle is back. Uncle is back. As the sound sounded, the juniors stood up one after another and shouted uncle again and again in unison, lively and with a hint of respect. Ling Yan shrank her neck nervously in the back row, her heart beating like a drum. She quietly hid behind a screen and pretended to be an invisible person. The male protagonist who appeared at the door was different from the Stan she expected. He was dressed in a dark blue suit, with deep eyes and a smile, as if he could see through people's hearts at a glance. He is the mysterious boy she remembers who had a brief acquaintance with her in childhood, Shen Ning. Ling Yan's heart was shocked, her fingers clenched, and countless memories flashed in her mind. The boy who saved her under the moonlight, the boy who had quietly given her the luminous stone, is now an adult and standing in front of her. Stan frowned slightly, sensing the strangeness of the atmosphere. This. Yes. He asked softly, looking at Ling Yan. Ling Yan could only lower her head without making a sound, with mixed feelings in her heart. Chapter 3 Confusion Under the Moon. The atmosphere of the banquet changes subtly due to the return of the uncle. The elders were busy greeting Shen Ning, while Stan stood aside a little awkwardly, holding the wine glass lightly in his hand. Ling Yan retreated to the corner and quietly looked at the two men. The subtle feeling in my heart was like a lake illuminated by moonlight, trembling slightly. Shen Ning's eyes fell on her in the corner, and the corners of her mouth rose slightly. At that moment, Ling Yan felt as if she had been seen through, and it felt like she had returned to the carefree night of her childhood. Yan, I haven't seen you for so many years, are you okay? Shen Ning's voice was soft, but with an irresistible magnetic force. Ling Yan's face was as red as a ripe apple, and she replied softly, Uncle. Hello. Stan's gaze became complicated, and he sensed that his original arrangement might have been disrupted. Chapter 4 The Accident of Baking Mooncakes. In order to liven up the atmosphere, the elders arranged a mooncake baking competition. Ling Yan was forced to be in a group with Stan, while Shen Ning stood on the other side, smiling and looking at her. Tonight, you have to be careful not to let him steal your heart. Shen Ning said in a low voice, his eyes as soft as moonlight but provocative. Ling Yan's heart was shocked, and the dough in her hand was unconsciously squeezed too hard, and the dough splashed on Stan. Ah! Stan was stunned for a moment, and then showed an embarrassed and funny expression. Ling Yan's face blushed to the base of her ears, Shen Ning smiled like an elf in the moonlight, and the whole banquet suddenly fell into a bizarre atmosphere, the smoke of baking mooncakes, the light and shadow of lanterns, and the sound of Ling Yan's heartbeat. Chapter 5 The Secret in Light and Shadow. After the game, Ling Yan walked to the depths of the yard alone. The moonlight shone on her, and the shadow was very long. Shen Ning quietly followed. Yan, do you still remember the moonlight of that year? He asked in a low voice. Ling Yan looked up and saw his eyes, like the deepest galaxy in the night sky, with a mysterious and familiar light. Remember? She said softly, her voice trembling. Shen Ning stretched out his hand and gently held her fingers. I'm coming back, not only to see you, but also to tell you a secret. At this moment, a silver light and shadow suddenly flashed in the corner of the courtyard, as if someone or some mysterious force was quietly watching them. Chapter 6 The Turning of the Night. The elders were busy with the banquet, and no one noticed the strangeness of the light and shadow. Ling Yan's heartbeat was like a drum, and her fingers were held by Shen Ning, warm but with a strange power. This. What is it? She asked in a low voice. Shen Ning frowned slightly. It may be some kind of inheritance power of the family, or it may be. It is the arrangement of fate. Under the moon, light and shadow intertwined, and the atmosphere in the yard began to become strange. The red lanterns flickered and dimmed, and the aroma of baked mooncakes was swept up by the wind, as if conveying an unknown message. Ling Yan suddenly felt that her life would no longer be as peaceful as usual tonight, but like the light and shadow under the moonlight, bizarre and full of unknowns. Chapter 7 Choices in the Moonlight. Ling Yan felt an unprecedented entanglement between Shen Ning and Stan. Stan is gentle and elegant, making it an ideal choice for family and elder arrangements. Shen Ning was deep and familiar, like childhood memories, which made her heart flutter. Yan, are you willing to come with me? Shen Ning asked softly. Ling Yan closed her eyes and felt the temperature of the moonlight shining on her palms. She knew that tonight's choice would change the trajectory of her future life. She took a deep breath, opened her eyes, looked directly at Shen Ning, and smiled. Uncle. I want to see more moonlight with you. Stan's brows furrowed, but then withdrew, showing a look of understanding. He nodded slightly. Then I wish you happiness. Chapter 9 The Secret in the Moonlight. Ling Yan and Shen Ning walked in the courtyard, and the moonlight poured down on their shoulders like water. In the night breeze, there is a faint fragrance of rosin and the aftertaste of baked mooncakes, as if the entire yard is wrapped in this quietness and sweetness. Yan, actually, I came back, not just to see you. Shen Ning said in a low voice. His eyes suddenly became deep. Ling Yan stopped and held his hand tightly. Uncle, what happened? Shen Ning sighed slightly. The family has a secret, a power related to moonlight. Tonight's full moon is the day when power awakens. If anyone wants to harness this power, it could endanger our entire family. Ling Yan's heart was shocked, and the strange lights and shadows and flickering lanterns at the banquet appeared in her mind, and she suddenly understood that those were not coincidences, but warnings. Then what should we do? She asked nervously. Shen Ning stretched out his finger to the old tree in the deepest part of the yard. There is a stone of moon shadow left by our ancestors buried there. As long as we find it, we can protect our family and ourselves. Under the moonlight, the courtyard looks deep and mysterious, as if something unknown will jump out at any time. Chapter 10 Night Walking in Search of Stones. Ling Yan and Shen Ning quietly passed through the crowd at the banquet and walked deep into the yard. In the night, the light of the red lanterns reflected their nervous and excited faces. Under the old tree, the soil was soft, and Shen Ning began to dig. The moonlight was like a knife, reflecting their movements, and the shadows were long and short, as if there were invisible eyes watching in the dark. Be careful. Ling Yan reminded in a low voice. As soon as she dug out a small stone, she suddenly heard a slight rustling sound, as if someone was approaching. Someone may be following us. Shen Ning frowned. He quickly took out a small energy dagger, and as the light flickered, there seemed to be a faint vibration in the air. In an instant, the lanterns in the yard flickered and dimmed, as if countless pairs of eyes were spying on them. Ling Yan held Shen Ning's hand tightly, and the two of them had a tacit understanding, and continued to dig, and finally dug out a stone that emitted a shimmering light, the moon shadow stone. Chapter 11 The Bizarre Trial. As soon as the moon shadow stone was unearthed, the courtyard was suddenly surrounded by a mysterious force. The red lanterns flew up, and a low chant came from the air. Ling Yan and Shen Ning were shocked to the point of staggering, and the moonlight seemed to be pulled into pillars of light, straight into the night sky. This is the Guardian Trial. Shen Ning shouted loudly. He stretched out his hand to hold up the stone, and the light instantly illuminated the entire courtyard. Suddenly, a black shadow appeared from the shadows, wrapped in a cloak of night, with a low voice and a smile. Little mortals, do you dare to touch the moon shadow stone? Ling Yan felt a chill, and her hand held Shen Ning's sleeve tightly. Shen Ning's eyes flashed with determination. He lifted the moon shadow stone. The stone emitted a dazzling light, shining directly on the black shadow. The black shadow was repelled by the light, roared in a low voice, and disappeared into the night. The entire courtyard returned to calm, and the red lanterns swayed again. Are you okay? We succeeded. Shen Ning said softly, under the moonlight, his face had a gentle smile. Ling Yan leaned on his shoulder, her heart still beating faster, but she felt a sense of peace of mind that she had never felt before. Chapter 12 Family Blessings. The next morning, the elders found Ling Yan and Shen Ning in the depths of the yard, while the moon shadow stone was safe and sound. Although the elders were shocked, they saw that the two of them looked calm and slowly showed a relieved smile. Yan, choosing to follow Shen Ning is also a wise decision. The old lady said lovingly, tears flashing in her eyes. Stan smiled and nodded, although he was a little reluctant to give up, but he knew that true happiness should not be forced. Ling Yan and Shen Ning held hands and watched the morning light pass through the red lantern in the yard. The glimmer of the moon shadow stone still flickered faintly, guarding the family and their future like a guardian. Chapter 13 Perfect Moonlight. A few months later, Ling Yan and Shen Ning founded the family's Moonlight Academy, dedicated to researching and protecting the power of the moon shadow. The family regained harmony, the wishes of the elders were fulfilled, and they learned courage, trust, and love through bizarre events. Every mid-autumn festival, the two of them will be in the yard, facing the moonlight, reminiscing about that life-changing night. Under the moonlight, the intricacies of the past have now become complete. Chapter 14 The Mysterious Invitation. A few weeks later, Ling Yan received an unsigned letter that only said Moon Shadow Guardian Invitation. The letter reads: Ling Yan, you have proven your courage and wisdom. If you are willing to join the Moon Shadow Guardian, you will be able to explore the deeper secrets behind the moonlight and protect your family and the world. Ling Yan held the letter, feeling both excited and apprehensive. She thought of the bizarre scene in the yard that night, as well as Shen Ning's clenched hand. She knew that this power was not a joke, but a responsibility. Uncle, do you think I should go? She asked Shen Ning. Shen Ning smiled slightly, as long as you want, I will accompany you. So, the two decided to embark on a new journey. Chapter 15 Illusion Trial. The trial location mentioned in the letter is a misty forest, surrounded by silver moonlight and mist. As soon as she stepped in, Ling Yan felt the ground flowing like liquid under her feet, and the trees suddenly twisted and turned into a phantom like a pillar of light. This is an illusion. Shen Ning reminded in a low voice. He held the moon shadow stone tightly, and the light penetrated the mist. In the illusion, the two are not facing enemies, but their own inner fears. Ling Yan saw the picture of herself being ignored alone at the family banquet, and tears welled up in her eyes. Shen Ning relived the pain of losing a loved one. Don't flinch. Shen Ning stretched out his hand to hold Ling Yan's hand. The moon shadow stone emitted a dazzling light, and the illusion gradually dissipated. When the fog cleared, an old man in a silver robe appeared in front of him. He smiled and nodded. You have passed the preliminary test, and the real road to protection has just begun. Chapter 16 The Feast of the Stars. After the trial, Ling Yan and Shen Ning were invited to participate in the Star Banquet, a grand event that brought together the Moon Shadow Guardians of the entire universe. At the banquet, exotic flowers and plants floated in the air, the candlelight was like stars, and the ground was like a lake, reflecting countless stars. During the banquet, Ling Yan unexpectedly met the German returnee who had gone on a blind date at a family banquet, Karl von West. He looked at her in surprise, as if he saw the shadow in the moonlight that night again. Are you here too? Ling Yan asked in a low voice. Karl smiled. Fate is so interesting, I didn't expect us to meet again. However, there is a conspiracy hidden behind the banquet. Someone wanted to steal the power of the Moon Shadow Stone and plunge the entire galaxy into chaos. Ling Yan and Shen Ning must join forces to protect, not only the family, but also the entire galaxy. Chapter 17 The Dark Shadow Returns. Just when the Star Banquet reached its climax, the water surface in the center of the banquet suddenly fluctuated, and a familiar black shadow appeared, even larger and weirder than last time. Its voice echoed among the stars, "Mortals, do you think small tricks can stop the true power?" Ling Yan stood straight, the moon shadow stone shining in her hand, while Shen Ning stood guard beside her. The black shadow turned into several pillars of light and attacked, and the two were forced to deal with it separately. Ling Yan guided the pillar of light into the phantom labyrinth with her wisdom, while Shen Ning used her strength to resist the impact. In the end, Ling Yan lifted the moon shadow stone high into the air, the stone light filled like a galaxy, and the black shadow was forced to retreat and dissipate among the stars. The star banquet returned to calm, and all the guardians saluted them. Ling Yan and Shen Ning looked at each other tacitly, their hearts full of victory and joy. Chapter 18 Protection and Choice. After the trial, Ling Yan faced a choice, whether to stay in the Moon Shadow Guardian and continue to explore the interstellar and Moon Shadow powers, or return to the family and enjoy an ordinary life. Shen Ning gently held her hand, "No matter what you choose, I will be by your side." Ling Yan looked at the earth where her family was located, and then looked at the unknown world twinkling among the stars. She smiled, "Since the moonlight has given me courage, I hope to protect more people, but I also don't forget my family." The two decided to integrate protection with ordinary life. They returned to the family's courtyard and continue to accept the guardian's quest to become a guardian and a patron of the family across the stars. Chapter 19 The Moonlight is Full. The Mid-Autumn Festival is coming again. Ling Yan and Shen Ning are standing in the yard, red lanterns reflecting the moonlight. The family members gathered, and the elders looked at them with relief. "Yan, Ninger, you did it." The old lady smiled with tears in her eyes. Under the moonlight, the moon shadow stone in the yard flickered with a shimmering light, as if silently guarding the family and the hearts of the two of them. The starry sky and moonlight intertwine, bizarre events become memories, and every challenge brings their hearts closer. Ling Yan and Shen Ning held hands, looked back at the moonlight, and understood, this courage, wisdom, and love will always protect them and the future of the family. Postscript. Moonlight symbolizes hope, protection, and completeness. The story of Ling Yan and Shen Ning tells us, even if life is full of challenges and unknowns, as long as you have courage and love, whether it is the heavy responsibility of the family or the trials that cross the stars, you can turn crisis into opportunity and usher in your own perfection. Bizarre trials and intricate interpersonal emotions eventually turn into moonlit smiles, illuminating everyone's confused night.